What happens when a reality TV star decides she wants to walk the runway, and an entire century-old industry bends to accommodate her, forever changing the very DNA of what it means to be a model in the modern world? This is the story of how one woman's ambition didn't just change modeling forever, it completely shattered everything the fashion world once stood for, leaving behind a trail of controversy, broken dreams, and a question that still haunts the industry today like a ghost that refuses to be exorcised. Did Kendall Jenner save modeling by bringing it into the digital age, or destroy it by reducing artistry to algorithmic metrics? In the glittering world of high fashion, where models once spent years crawling their way up from obscurity in cramped model apartments, eating nothing but dreams and determination while walking miles in heels that cut into their feet like knives, surviving on coffee and the hope that tomorrow would bring the casting call that changed everything, there lived an unspoken sacred rule that success had to be earned through blood, sweat, tears, and countless soul-crushing rejections that would break lesser spirits. But on November 3, 1995, a baby was born in Los Angeles who would grow up to obliterate that rule entirely, rewriting the handbook of fame in a way that would send shockwaves through every modeling agency, fashion house, and runway from New York to Milan. Kendall Nicole Jenner entered a world where cameras already followed her every move like hungry predators, where her last name carried more weight than 1,000 perfectly curated portfolios, and where the traditional path to modeling stardom would seem as outdated as black and white television in a Netflix world. Growing up in the sprawling Calabasas mansion where reality TV magic happened daily, surrounded by the constant hum of production crews, makeup artists, and the intoxicating energy of manufactured celebrity that most people only dream of experiencing. Growing up in the shadow of the Kardashian empire, young Kendall watched with wide, observant eyes as her family turned their personal lives into entertainment gold, their drama into dollars that multiplied faster than rabbits, and their controversies into cultural moments that dominated headlines and water-cooler conversations across America. But while her sisters embraced the spotlight with open arms and seemed to thrive in the chaos of constant attention, Kendall harbored a different dream that seemed almost innocent in comparison to the empire building happening around her. She wanted to be a real model, not just a famous face, but someone who could walk down runways in Paris and Milan with the same grace and power as the supermodels she admired in glossy magazines. The modeling world first took notice when she was just 14 years old, signing with Wilhelmina Models in 2009, and the fashion industry held its collective breath like spectators watching a tightrope walker, not knowing they were witnessing the beginning of the end of everything they held sacred about their craft, as this teenager with her famous last name and social media following represented something entirely new and potentially dangerous to the established order. The early campaigns came quickly. Suspiciously quickly, some industry veterans whispered in hushed tones over champagne at Fashion Week afterparties, as Kendall graced the pages of Teen Vogue, Forever 21 campaigns, and other brands that established models with years of experience and dozens of castings had fought tooth and nail to book. But the real earthquake that shifted the tectonic plates of the modeling world hit in 2014 when she strutted down the runway at New York Fashion Week for Marc Jacobs. And suddenly the impossible became inevitable as every fashion editor, photographer, and casting director realized that the game had fundamentally changed forever. Fashion week after fashion week, season after season, Kendall's meteoric rise seemed unstoppable as she landed increasingly prestigious gigs, walking for legendary houses like Chanel, where Coco Chanel herself had once walked these same halls, Versace with its legacy of glamour and excess, and Givenchy with its reputation for elegance and sophistication, earning millions of dollars while other models with decades of experience struggled to pay their rent in tiny studio apartments. But with each success, each magazine cover, each runway appearance, came a growing chorus of voices asking the same haunting question that echoed through casting agencies and model apartments like a broken record. Was this raw talent finally getting its due recognition, or was this simply privilege masquerading as achievement? The peak of her modeling career seemed to shine brightest between 2017 and 2018, when she achieved what seemed impossible just a few years earlier, becoming the world's highest-paid model according to Forbes, earning a staggering $22 million in a single year, a figure that made seasoned supermodels who had walked thousands of shows and graced hundreds of magazine covers gasp in disbelief. But behind the glamorous facade of red carpet appearances, Vogue covers, and designer collaborations, A storm was brewing in the fashion underground that would eventually expose the dark truth about what her unprecedented success really meant for an industry built on the dreams of young women who believed that talent and dedication were enough to make it. The controversy that would define her legacy and divide the fashion world into warring camps began with whispers in casting rooms where nervous assistants spoke in hushed tones. Models who had walked hundreds of shows and built their careers one rejection at a time, watching in stunned silence as Kendall walked into campaigns and opportunities they would never have access to despite their years of experience and undeniable skill, while designers began admitting privately to their inner circles that booking a Jenner meant guaranteed press coverage, millions of social media impressions, and the kind of cultural conversation that money couldn't buy. And slowly, like a creeping realization that changes everything, the fashion world realized they had made a Faustian bargain with celebrity culture that they couldn't escape without destroying their own relevance. The 2017 Pepsi commercial became the match that lit the fire of public scrutiny, as Kendall faced a tsunami of global backlash for appearing in a tone-deaf advertisement that seemed to trivialize social justice movements and reduce complex political struggles to a simple gesture with a soft drink, revealing how disconnected she was from the real-world struggles that authentic activism demanded. And suddenly, the golden girl of fashion found herself at the center of a cultural reckoning that questioned not just her commercial choices but her entire rise to prominence in an industry that claimed to value substance over celebrity. Model after model began speaking out on social media platforms and in industry publications, sharing heartbreaking stories of how they had been passed over for campaigns that ultimately went to influencers with millions of followers but minimal runway experience. How casting directors now asked for Instagram metrics and social media engagement rates before even looking at measurements or portfolios. And how the ancient art of modeling was being systematically reduced to social media statistics and algorithmic performance rather than the indefinable magic that made certain people absolutely captivating in front of a camera. The industry that had once celebrated craft, technique, years of training, and that mysterious, indefinable quality called presence that couldn't be taught or manufactured, now bowed to the relentless demands of the algorithm, and Kendall Jenner, whether she intended it or not, had become the unwitting face of this transformation that left many feeling like they were watching their beloved art form being dismantled piece by piece. Fashion weeks that had once been sacred hunting grounds for discovering fresh faces from small towns and foreign countries, launching careers that would span decades and define entire generations of style, now featured the same rotation of influencer models with their carefully curated Instagram feeds and pre-existing fan bases. While magazine covers that had once been awarded based on editorial vision and artistic merit began prioritizing clickability over creativity, and modeling agencies that had once prided themselves on developing raw talent began scouting Instagram feeds instead of the streets, coffee shops, and small-town beauty contests where legends like Cindy Crawford and Gigi Hadid had been discovered. The traditional modeling world that had launched the careers of icons like Naomi Campbell through years of dedication and artistic growth, Kate Moss with her unique look that defied conventional beauty standards, and Gisele Bündchen, who transformed herself from a small-town Brazilian girl into a global phenomenon through sheer determination, suddenly seemed as relevant as a payphone in the smartphone era. And the models who had built their careers on nothing but raw talent, countless hours of practice, and an unwavering belief in their craft watched in horror as influence became more valuable than excellence, followers more important than bone structure, and social media metrics more decisive than the ability to sell clothes or embody a designer's vision. The ripple effects of this transformation extended far beyond individual careers, fundamentally altering how young people viewed modeling as a profession, with aspiring models now spending more time building their social media presence than perfecting their walk or studying the greats who came before them, while fashion schools found themselves having to teach Instagram strategy alongside posing techniques. And the entire ecosystem that had supported the industry for decades began to shift toward a model that prioritized viral moments over timeless beauty and trending hashtags over artistic collaboration. As we look back at Kendall Jenner's seismic impact on the modeling industry with a clarity that only comes with time and distance, we see a story that's infinitely more complex than simple success or failure, because she didn't just change how models become famous or alter the trajectory of individual careers. She fundamentally changed what modeling itself means in the 21st century, forcing an entire industry to confront uncomfortable truths about merit versus privilege, talent versus influence, and the price of relevance in a digital age where attention spans are measured in seconds and cultural moments can be manufactured with the right combination of celebrity, controversy, and social media savvy. The question that haunts the fashion world today, whispered in the corridors of modeling agencies and debated in fashion school classrooms around the globe, isn't whether Kendall Jenner was objectively a good model or whether her success was entirely deserved, but whether the industry she helped create through her unprecedented rise is still capable of discovering, nurturing, and celebrating the kind of raw, untrained talent that once defined what modeling could be at its most magical and transformative, or if we've entered a new era where influence will always matter more than artistry, where followers will always count more than ability, and where the next generation of aspiring models will need to be entrepreneurs, brand managers, and content creators first, and artists second. In the end, when fashion historians write about this pivotal moment in modeling history, Kendall Jenner's legacy won't just be about one woman's meteoric career or the millions of dollars she earned or the magazine covers she graced, but about the exact moment when the fashion industry realized that the fundamental rules of the game had changed forever and could never be changed back, leaving us all to grapple with the eternal question of whether we gained a more democratic, accessible industry, where anyone with a platform and the right strategy can succeed regardless of their background, or if we lost something irreplaceable and sacred about what made modeling magical, mysterious, and capable of creating legends that transcended fashion itself.